Okay, very good. So let's get started. So I prepared for you just a simple things, but how you're going to learn is basically I'm going to build some I'm going to show you some different aspect of TypeScript that you might know or you probably don't know, but no, today there is no GitHub repo because I'm gonna do some demos, but those demos and videos and the GitHub repo, if you want, I can put it together and give that back later. So that's a question from Olivier, but you're going to have access to those videos on the YouTube channel of Hackages. So no repo this time. People, we've been building some amazing content in the coming weeks. So we have we're going to have like session on TypeScript and GraphQL. We're going to have session on TypeScript and React. We're going to have session on building web component, like building one web component in one lunch at lunchtime. This is so amazing. So let me go back quickly to what we have today. So if I say union type and discrimination union, does that speak volume to people? I guess yes. So if you hear, you probably use union in TypeScript. So you would go something like this. You say, okay, I'm going to have a type and say string and number, for example. Okay. So you said this is basically the type, and you're going to say this is a string. It could be a string or a number. Okay. So that's a simple union. So if you look at this, you see that this thing could be either a string, it's either a string or a number. Okay, but there is something you can do with this to leverage the fact that you're using union in your code. So I'm gonna go step by step here and show you a few things. Let's for example say we have an interface of dog. Okay, and then we're just gonna have the kind of dog. So we say this is a dog. Okay, so look, I'm using an interface. I'm basically saying the kind here is a dog. So don't be confused. This is basically a way you can write that. You will say, well, instead of saying it's a string, I'm assigning it the value, the type dog. It is a type right there. Okay, so I'm just typing the thing, and then I will say a dog bark. So let's say and then we say this one is a string. Okay, let me make sure that flow goes well. And now let's say for example we're going to have another one which is a cat. So if there is a dog, there is a cat somewhere, right? So stay with me. So now we have this one is a cat, and a cat obviously you say, yeah, obviously. So as you can see here, I have two types. So guess what those are? They are animal, right? So I can have a dog as animal or a cat. Okay. So that's a basic, that's the way you will do that. So you can align them one after the other and then use that in your code to make to basically write a much stronger code. So what do we have from now? We're going to have a function that say, let's actually have the animal sound. Okay, so and then obviously here you're going to have an animal, and then you say if it's of type animal. Okay, so what you want to do is like you want to go through the parameter and start looping through the possibilities, and then decide which sound needs to be yield. Okay, so now what you're just gonna do here, I'm just gonna take a simple animal, and then you see when I say animal, I only see the property kind. Kind is just the property which is, you can see it's the shared property between dog and cat, right? So if I had other properties that are shared between those types, I will see them, right? So that's basically the union of both. So here I can only check on the kind. Okay, so that's, so far it's something you should know, right? Or you might have seen. So now let me just say, in case of, now which case do we have? The fact that we're checking on kind, by just saying I'm putting that empty string, it gives me the option to have or a cat or a dog. Okay, so I'm just gonna say a cat here, and let's say this one just going to return, let me put it this way, the cat is, so what does the cat do? Right, so here is the cat, so we know that we're dealing with the cat at this stage. So when I do this, you can see that in that use case, I only see, since I'm checking on the cat, when I type dot here, I only see information about the cat. So animal here is cat. That's basically what we have. Okay, so and you can just say this is for the cat. Okay, so that's one step. And now if I say I want to deal with the case, the dog case, I would just take it here and then say like, okay, when it's a dog, so once again I have the second option, so like a dog, and then you say the dog. And as you can see right here, you can see that now I have an error already saying you're not in the dog in the cat scenario, so that should be a dog here, right? So a dog, what does the dog do? So bark. Okay, sorry, let's barking. Okay, so this is our two use cases. So what I'm going to do, I'm just gonna call that function. Okay, and I'm just going to pass a kind. So, and then you see that even when I'm typing I'm calling the function, I can see that it gives me those two options. So I'm just gonna say a cat, and then I will just say here, and what does a cat does? Well, you know it. So say mine here. So now, as you can see, when I run this code, I'm just gonna run it here. As you can see, we have the cat is meowing. Okay, it's pretty clear so far, right? So if there is any question, please ask them right below in the section, the comment section. I'll be able to answer them or on the spot, or during the Q&A session, right? So we can see that that function works. So far, we're not doing something really special, but we're missing on a few things, right? The first thing is the fact that when we say animal.kind, if you don't handle that use case here, you see here there is no error. Nothing is happening, right? So this should basically raise a concern, because you're like, okay, this animal, what the return of this function so far, it's if I check the return here, so we say we call this thing, and then it said it return a string, but sometimes it could be a cat or a dog, and you don't know. So that here that case isn't handled. So I'm gonna show you a few things that can make this code more robust by using typing in TypeScript. Typing in TypeScript. There are types in TypeScript. Okay, never mind. You're getting this. So how would you do that? So the first thing here is basically to say, I'm going to add a return a value here. So I'm going to say this is a string, right? So that's the first thing. I just add a type, right? So it is a string, it returns a string. The second thing, right? I'm going inside my tsconfig, and I'm going to change the strict null check, and I'm going to put it on true, right? Okay, and then you will say, now when I go back here, you can see now, just by turning the ts inside the tsconfig, I turn the strict null to true. Now you can see that in my code, string here is complaining. It's basically saying, this function lacks ending return statement, and return does not include undefined. Yeah, because if that case isn't handled, the next one here will be return undefined, right? So that's basically what you're saying. It's gonna just return something undefined, but that's not what you want. So maybe what you will see here is I'm just gonna say this is undefined. So you're handling this that way, but you're actually going around the problem. You're going around the problem by doing this. So here is one of the good reasons to already put the strict null at true, right? That's one good reason. So, but strict null, when you put strict null in your code, it could become really difficult for people that are not used to TypeScript. Okay, so with the type system only, I was able to detect that this is an issue. So look, let's go back here, put it back, and as you can see now, the error is gone. It is gone. There are two things we did. We just add a return value, and we add the strict null to true right here. That's what we did. Okay. And now when you see here in our playground, we see that there is no more error, right? So now let's take the let's say there will be. So let's take a situation where, for example, we don't have the strict null, right? So let me put it back to false. I was reading your question right there, but I can see some people are answering questions. So keep going. It's really great. So I'm going back here, and then I put this, like I'm removing this part. Okay. So here is the thing. You can see now, even with the return value, we remove the strict null, and we still we don't see the error, right? So now what you could do, you can actually, I'm going to introduce you a concept called never, right? So never is a concept in TypeScript that just says, well, that will never happen. That thing, it's kind of a way of saying you will never go in there. You will never go in that space, right? That's basically the idea. So the way you will do that, you will create a function. So let's create a function here, and then we're gonna call that function fail. Okay. So that function is gonna take an argument, and that argument is gonna be like a never argument. Okay. And that function is going to return never, right? So what you do here doesn't matter. I'm just gonna throw an error, a new error, right? And there is no need to put anything here at this stage, right? I'm just creating that fail function, right? So now I have my fail function. What's going to happen now is the fact that I'm going to add a default case here. And then I will say, when there is the default, just return that fail function. But that fail function is gonna take the animal. So you see right away there is a problem. You can read that. It says argument of type dog is not assignable of parameter of type never, right? So what is basically happening right there is the fact that this function is able to handle the fact that sometime the parameter you're going to pass in there, like when all those cases are checked, if one of the cases that comes from animal, so that comes from here, isn't handled, right? The fail will basically raise that error, right? So this, without actually turning on the strict null, is a way for you to make sure that you have that function that will block the non-handled cases, right? So you can go back here in that scenario, and then you put it back, you see it's working. Okay, so this is basically the way you will use, I'm talking here about discriminated unions in combination with strict null, okay? And I just introduced a concept of never type, okay? The never type. So you can read more on the never type. It's actually some amazing thing that you could use right there, okay? So very good. So let's move on. Let's move on to our second example. Okay. So let me remove this, and we're going to move to the second one. So second one, I'm going to talk about index type and introduce the concept of generic, right? You know generics, right? So if you never use generic, please just go ahead and learn. Check that. It's an amazing tool that helps you write code a bit like quite. It helps you write generic code. That's basically what it does, generic code. And I know you, developer, I know you love writing things and make them generic. So this is a very good opportunity to deal with those. So let me show you something. You have the fact that, so we're talking about index type, and I'm going to show you generics and keyoff. So I have, for example, let me take a type. So let's say we're going to create an object company, right? And that object has a name, Hackages, obviously, and then a founded. Yeah, okay. So it's 2016. Okay, so that's basically an object. Okay, so what I can do here, I can say, once I receive that object and I want to create, that's probably an object that you receive from a backend somewhere. But once you have it, you want to create a dynamic type out of it, like based on that. So what you will say here is company. So you just say company, and you will say, okay, I want to get you want to get the property from the company object. So what I'm going to say here is, I just want to take the key of company. Let me go back here. Let's say type of company is good here, but that's not what I want. Yeah. Okay. So basically, it gives me this object, right? So when I say type of company, because here I'm dealing with an object, so I cannot use key off, right? So, and then when I got this, now I can say, well, okay, I dynamically generated a company object. So if I go here and then I say, let's say one of our partner, let's say, who can I, so let's say, for example, HVA. Okay, so here's a company, right? I can say this one is a company, and right inside I can say I want to have access to, so obviously here you need to add the name and the founded year. So as you can see, I don't know which year it was founded, so let's put somewhere in the past. So I just dynamically, here what I did, I dynamically created a type. That's what I did, right? So far I'm not using typeof, right? I'm not using typeof. It's just basically I'm not using keyoff, right? But look what you can do. I can, for example, now say I have company. So let me turn this entire thing. Okay, so here I've shown you how you can dynamically create. We're gonna need that in a few minutes. Okay, so let me go back here and then say I'm going to create a class, and now we're gonna call that class. So this is a string, and this is founded, and then you will say a number. Okay. Right, so we have both, and now I can say, for example, I want to dynamically get the keys of that thing here. So what you will say, you say, okay, I want to I'm just gonna have a type that is based on that company here. So I will say company property. Okay, so what you do, you just say keyoff. And now I'm going to say key of company, right? company. So look what is happening here. It's important that you understand what is happening. We're gonna see that on at the fourth example, but it's really important that you get what is happening here. When I had a property like company, for example, and I just add a name, Hackages, right? So when I had this, you can see that I was able to have access to all this property by just doing type company type. All right, I can just say, as I say, type of the company. So I mistype it here. So you see here below here, it's an object. So this is an object, and here you have a class. So that's basically a blueprint. But look at exactly what is happening here. I say company, so there's a bit of typo, but that's not a big deal. Typo. Okay, look. When I over here, you see it says company property is name or found. So you have that union of both, that it basically generates that dynamically from this. Okay? And when I go here, you see that it basically took the shape of this, right? So type of was able to go and get the information of this object, and then I can dynamically use that. And it's the same thing with here. I'm basically dynamically looking up the properties that are available here. So I'm kind of looping. So see this? You see the result of that? It's exactly the same when you say in JavaScript, you say for let key in keys, for example, and then, or let's say, for example, here, that loop here. So let me call that. Yeah, we had an object somewhere. No, never mind. So think about this as an object. Okay, we can dynamically add that here. So we say name, Chandan. Okay, so this, you see that syntax here? What it's going to do, it's gonna get all the keys and make those keys available. You can store them right after. That's exactly what that thing does. Okay, so now keep that in mind, and let's move on to the example I want to show you. So I have a function here. That function is called pluck, and you might have used that somehow somewhere before. Okay, so what we have, this we're gonna have the plug. What it does, you give it an object, and you're able to get the properties of that object. So property name of that object, and that thing is an array. So we don't really care here at this stage. I'm just gonna leave it like that for the moment. And what you want to do is, like, that thing should return you a property name, and opla. So that was something went really fast here. Property name, and then okay, I need to type it because it's gonna help me write faster. Yeah, I use any. I know, I can see you there already saying any. Stop using any. Slow down. I'm gonna fix it in a second. I just need help a little bit here. Okay, so now I have a map. That's why I use any, because I'm not giving you away. I'm not giving away the thing right away. So now I have a map, and I say for each key in that, I just want to get the object key, right? Yeah. I see you, Chandan, saying €5. I'm gonna pay those €5. No worries. I'm gonna get rid of them in a few seconds. Yeah, at Hackages we have a rule that says if you use any, you gotta pay €5 for those any. But sometimes you need them, so that's why we give you credit that you can use them. Okay. So now I have a simple function here. So now let me use that function. I'm just gonna call that plug, and I'm going to pass something like name here, and say Davy, and then company, say Hackages. Okay, so I don't know what happened with the company here, but so as you can see here, let me make sure that I'm passing the right argument. So yeah, so that's the first one. So give me a second, we're fixing it, and then an array that says, okay, I want to get out of that object. I want to get the same thing by just saying, give me the name. Okay, so if I go here, you can see that it returns me that array here. So let me remove that, putting a little bit outside so you can see what is happening here. Okay, so that basically work, right? So yeah, indeed, any comes handy in sometimes. Believe me, Matthews, that's completely true. I use that, but you still pay 5 years for that, so it's okay. So now let's go back and make it work. So for example, what I want to show you here is when I say that I can take the name, you see it returned that the name right there. See, if I say I want a company, it gives me the thing, right? So but if I give a value that doesn't exist, I don't have an error, I have nothing, right? Now let's use typing and generics and key off to make that happen. Okay, so the way you go about it, you for example say you have the object here. You want to make sure that, okay, let's think about it for a second. So what you have is the fact that object will be used here as something, right, that has keys and stuff like that. So instead of any, right, you can say this thing is a key, as a key, and that key is a string here. Let me say here, so that's a string, and then it's going to return any, because that you don't know, and that's basically, okay, let me remove this for a second so we can come back to it a bit later, or I can put it a bit up there so it doesn't. Yes, very good. So let me go back here. So what we have, oh wow, okay, I just broke the internet with this. Okay, so what we have here, I just said this is a set of keys, right? So that's one way of approaching it. And then I will say, what is any here? What is it? What could be those property? Well, I think the property name are mostly string, right? So it's kind of thing, but that doesn't change anything. We're just typing the stuff. Now let me leverage generics. Okay, so the way you will do that, you will say here, like, okay, I'm gonna have a T, which is gonna be the type of my object, right? And then small bug, and then you're gonna turn, instead of object here, I will say this is T. Okay, so now you can already see we have a small problem here, but we're not done. We're just transforming the entire thing. So now I'm going to have another property here that is key. And sorry, K. That's K here. Where do you think K should go? K should probably be it's the property name. It's basically what you use on the property name. So K is the thing you use right here instead of string, right? So you're basically saying T is the object, K is the list of property, so the type within that, which we kind of know it's gonna be a string in a way, but we get a simple error here that now says type K cannot be used in index T. So there is literally something we can do there to fix that. So someone is asking any bad about no. Yeah, the thing is, like, okay, I can answer that question right after. So keep that okay. Quickly, here is the fact that you're trying to get a property inside that object, but that thing doesn't exist. So that your intention is to get that property, but you don't get it. You by putting the thing there, you can also say, okay, I just wanted to see if the property exists in the thing. That's one way of saying that. But you can also make sure that, okay, I want to make sure that that function always return me or check on the fact that that property is in there. Okay. So the way you do that here, you say, okay, that's a property. And now what you're gonna do is to say object is of type T, and then property name is of type K, array of K. And then you see here we have this small thing. Type K cannot be used to index type T. What do you think is the link between T and K? Okay, we have a small delay, so I'm gonna wait for you. So there is a link between T and K. So if you see, this is T and this is K. So there is a link between those two. So I'm gonna give you that because we're running almost out of time. So the link here is the fact that K here is a set of keys from the type T, right? So what you could say here is K extend, right? So you're saying it's extend key of T, right? So what I just did right here, you can see right away that now we have an error that says, no, the type cannot be anything but name or company, right? So you see what just happened? I just say key extend this. It's a set of key of that. Okay, so what basically this says, it says then key, technically behind the scene, what is happening? It says K here is of type, what you're basically saying, in our case, it's gonna be either Davy or company. But if you remember what we saw with the union before at the beginning, it's gonna check on them. So that's where you actually leverage what we saw, like discriminated unions. It's basically saying none of these match the thing you're looking for, right? That's the thing. So here you're basically using, it's called index types, and you're using generics and key of to actually make your code safer or like stricter in terms of making sure that you're not gonna just have a bug in production for something not intended. Okay. So here we kind of not done entirely. I just want to make sure that you understand that what is the return type here. What will be the return type for you? Okay, giving that away. So we gotta have an array, and that array is like this. Okay, and so now here I can change that and say, okay, I want Davy, I want the name, and then you see the name is coming. Okay. So now let me quickly, so I was on number 3 here. Okay. So now let me go quickly on number 3. So we talk about index type, generics, and key of. So let me show you how you can use map type and the idea of type programming level. So type level programming. So what I'm trying to say there is the fact that when you're writing code, like I shown you before, like this code is, object you're basically programming. That's programming with the object and stuff like that. Here I'm programming with type, right? As I said, this one is gonna loop through the thing. So here when you say K extend key of T, you're basically looping through each property inside the T type, and then create a type out of it. It is really important to understand that. Okay, so let me move on quickly here, and then we, if you have any question, I take them as we go. Okay, this is really good. So now we got people doing Lambda.js here. It's really nice. So yeah, you can use that to leverage to make your code much easier, and for people doing like really using TypeScript, this is really powerful. Okay, so Now let me go. I'm gonna go to this one because we almost out of time, and I'm gonna make sure that we go quickly on this one, although it's not that simple. So what we have here, I'm gonna take some example, so it's gonna be easier for you. So I have an interface. That interface has two properties, a title and an author, right? So then you're gonna create an object out of that, right? So what I'm doing here, I'm just saying, okay, I have a course and I'm creating a course, okay? Advanced TypeScript concept, and the author is me, okay? So that's basically a simple example. So here's my question: how can I'm talking with you, how can you freeze or turn all properties of these objects into read-only property? So that's basically the point here, right? We're talking about map types, right? So that's what we're talking about, okay? So, yeah, people, if you use Elm and you try to compare with TypeScript, there's, well, it's on another level, okay? So, but in TypeScript, we already have things that can make your code way much easier. So let me quickly make that happen here. So how can you do that? So you have many ways to go. What you can say, object.freeze, right? And you can pass courses, right? So look what is happening here. Before I even do that, what I'm trying to do is to say, okay, I have a course and then there is a title, and I want that title to become TypeScript or TS, advanced TS, right? So, okay, so if someone sees this, yeah, they won't be able to know exactly what is happening there, right? So there was like, what is advanced TS, unless you know that it's TypeScript. So I don't want this to happen. I don't want someone to go and change that. So if I do this, okay, I need to move it just a little bit here. By using object freeze, I'm basically saying, okay, I want to freeze that thing. So this thing's going to return me a freeze object, a freeze courses, right? Right, now I have this. So if I go freeze courses, whoop, and I try to access the title and then say, for example, let's add something here, you can see that freeze doesn't let me do that. So what basically happened behind the scene, look at this. It just says freeze has been turned into a read-only property. So then you cannot change this anymore. You can't change that. But what you actually did here, you use JavaScript. There is no TypeScript related thing here. You just used JavaScript, right? But I had to over this thing to see that that's a read-only property. That's a read-only object. Object indeed. So you can use freeze. That's one way of doing it. So now let me show you another way of doing it. So the second way, you can actually manually go and then say, okay, let me take that interface and let me add read-only everywhere. So read-only, and then as you can see, by adding read-only here, it's already freezing here. So the problem now is like I'm actually altering existing code instead of making sure that I can actually still use that and mutate and avoid the mutation of the thing by creating another variable as we did right here. Okay, so and then the other problem is, guess what? Now you want all of this to be read-only. So what are you going to do? So you're going to basically add, if you have an interface that has 20 property, are you just going to type read-only? No, you're not going to do that. So what you're going to do, if you're using TypeScript, you can use type level programming to do that, to automate that, right? So here is the way you will do this. So let me remove that read-only here. We don't need that. And we don't need this one as well, okay? So what I'm going to do here is basically approaching it differently. So the way you do that, you're gonna say, okay, I'm going to freeze that course. Okay, I'm going to freeze the new instances, and then people can actually use and the freeze the one and the other one. So the way you will do that, you're just going to say, okay, let me create how would you say that? How would you call that? Let me call an interface here, and then I'm just gonna call that freeze. Okay, and I'm going to freeze. So what do you have in freeze? So you're going to have something of type T. So now what I want to do is just to rewrite this thing to basically use to entirely freeze that. Okay, so let me use the type. I like type for these kind of things. They're much easier to use in that case. Okay, so what am I doing here? I'm just saying that for each property, I'm gonna take each property in key of. So I'm gonna take each property in T, right? And I'm just gonna make them read-only. So now I have one step. So one step is basically take each property. So that's a loop. You should see that as a loop. It's really important to understand that I'm looping through each key, which means that when I'm going to use freeze, I'm going to use that with courses, for example. That here, I'm actually taking all the keys here and I'm transforming them. The transformation hasn't happened at this stage. I'm just taking them all, listing them, and now I can just put here this as read only, right? So by doing so, now I just turn anything that goes in here into a read-only property here. So now I can now say I have my this part. So let me just copy this, and we're going to create something that looks like this. Okay, and then we're going to pass courses here. So what did I just do? I took this thing and I said, well, I'm going to turn that into a freeze course, and I'm gonna freeze everything inside and then pass this. But by passing this, I guarantee you that if you go here and then you say freeze courses and you're trying to do title, and then you say here, I want to change that. It's this one that I want, right? You can see that it's not okay with that. Cannot assign to title because it's a read-only property, right? So if you go here, you see has been freezed, right? It has each property in there has been turned into a read-only property. So those are the things you can do. And as you can see, if you're using TypeScript 3.8, I think it came probably earlier than that. This thing is already, it does exist natively in TypeScript. It's called read-only, right? So they made that available for you already in there. So you can use that to make your code to safely create read-only properties or read-only classes, right? Okay, so that is one thing. I'm almost done, but stay with me for a few more minutes. I mean 5 minutes, and then we can jump on the question, but please keep asking question. So now if we go, let's take another example here. I have an interface, so let me comment out this, right? So I have an interface, mentor, right? And I say this thing is read-only, and I want, for example, that what I'm trying to do here, I'm gonna give you a quick scenario. What I'm trying to do here is deep and read-only. Oh, this is fantastic. I like the question. So I'm gonna show you something that can help you do this exactly. So you can do that. You can basically say for each property that you have inside your so you just recursively call read-only inside your class, right? So but let me show you that with this example. So the point here is, how can I write how can I actually go the other way around, right? Yeah, this is exactly that, Victor. That's exactly. So you say deep. Yeah, I can show you that. I'm just gonna copy it from here, and you will see that an example right here. And because I'm about to show you also how you will use it, but we can talk about it in a few minutes. So stay with me, and we're almost done. So I have this, and I just want to reverse the entire thing, right? Or you take an object that has been freezed, and you want to reverse. You want to reverse the entire thing. So read only, okay? So look, yeah, okay. Keep that question, Matthias. I will answer that in a few minutes, okay? So what is happening here is I just want to reverse that. So I have this, which is entirely read-only, and I want to reverse that. So what you're gonna do here and then say, okay, I'm gonna write a type, and what do you think that type's going to do? This is a little bit more trickier. I mean, it's not that difficult, but it's gonna require you to actually go a little bit to think about type a little bit differently, right? So I'm gonna create something that you can write. So a writable property, right? So what you do here, and you just say, okay, I'm going to take, what are we trying to do? We're trying to turn everything that is read-only into writable thing. Okay, so the way you will approach that, you will say, you want that thing to be read-only. So therefore, I'm gonna need here a generic. So I'm gonna need a property T, yeah, a generic T, right? And T is going to be a list of like you can think of it like, okay, I have a property T, and then I will take for each P in so let me write that this way, P in key of T, you will say, for example, you want T, let me put it this way, right? So I just took something that is writable, and that's something that is read-only, and I'm turning that into a non-read-only thing. So what do you think is happening here? Question, what do you think is happening here, right? So for example, now if I take a writable course, and I'm going to say this thing is writable, and we're going to take our writable mentor. Yeah, pretty close, pretty close. So we're going to say this one is from mentor, okay? So what I'm going to do there, I'm just gonna get a mentor and put it right here, right? So here, when I look at this, it's just say, well, it's a writable mentor, but how about if I say writable mentor dot courses, and I try to change the value, I still have the fact that it's still read-only, okay? We're almost there. I just want you to see what is happening here, right? And understand a little bit. This is not trivial, even for lunch. It is not trivial, okay? So what do you think is happening here? So it's not working. Okay, so let me explain quickly how you will do that here. So I'm gonna keep that writable, and what I want to do is to say like T, which is the type that I'm going to receive here, is going to extend like an object. It's going to extend an object. So just gonna say like this is gonna extend an object, and what you get there, what is an object? You get a key, a string, and then you say, but I don't know what is the value that's going to be there, right? So that is one step. So basically you're saying that on the left, you're going to have T as a thing, and then you have a K, which is basically an extension. What's gonna be K here in our case? You have the fact that okay, okay, here I'm gonna write it and explain it quickly, right? Because we're running out of time. So what is happening here, you say, I'm not saying key in, key off anymore. I'm just saying P is in key, in K here, right? And then here I have something that says the relation between T and P is basically the fact that each property that's going to come from P here is gonna be the key for T, and T is the class that we're going to receive. So here, the way I will say that, I will say, okay, I have mentor, and I have all the keys of mentor. Okay, so what I just did right there, I just say like, okay, writable, it's gonna be you get a writable here, and then you get the fact that I'm gonna pass a mentor and then the key of mentor. So which error do we have? Is not assignable or type courses? Yeah, indeed. Now, indeed, I have something. What is courses, by the way? We have courses here, which is something different. So I need to create the new courses here, and then say this is courses, for example. So as you can see here, and then I go writable mentor, and I can look up that, and you can see that it has been changed. So let me explain what is happening here. Once again, that's not trivial. It is not trivial, but stay with me. So what is happening here is the fact that I'm saying, and you can see the way I'm writing it right here, I'm saying that T extend an object, right? That has keys and you don't know the values, right? It's gonna be any, right? And then K extend string. So K, what is K? Once again, is just the list of values that are inside that object, right? And then you get the you're able to have that, right? So no, you're not gonna write that this way. You're not gonna write that this way because TypeScript indeed made that available for you for free. So let's say I'm just gonna rewrite that and then put it right here. So you can have an example of the different ways of writing it. So what you're going to say there is just, I want everything here to be. So you go back and then you say you want to get in key of, yeah, and then you say I want to read. So T and P, here is the link between the two. So now you just copy the entire thing here. You just copy that. It's just a simple copy. And then here you just say I want it to be read only. There you go. So, and now here I'm just gonna fix it because we don't need this anymore. And there you go. So that's the way you will be able to just reverse that, right? And by using that read only, you see here, I'm just using that syntax here. So how do you feel about this so far? I just want to get a feeling of, okay, you're getting there, it's magic. I love it. But it's not magic actually. So how do you feel, people? You know, I can go for hours, but you have to go back to work. Right? So I shown you, like, you have this example that basically explain how you will think about type, and then here TypeScript is making it super easy for you to do the thing. So that example, when I show that to developer during our training, they always go like, what? What is that? And they feel like they've been doing TypeScript for a long time, and then they see that, they're like, okay, I have to go back. I have to go back to learn TypeScript. Yeah. So there are many map types that you have. So you can use, like, there is pick. That is one of the thing. Okay, let me actually get I'm gonna show you the example here. So let me get that for you. So there are many of them, right? So let me just get pick here. Yeah. So you have a few of them. Let me just switch my view. So you should be able to see my screen right below, right? So there are many of them. You have pick, that is one of them. You have record. Yeah, I mean, just go ahead and play with them. Like there are, I think you also have like read only. For example, you have no, yeah, indeed, it's called read only, I guess. Yeah, you have a way to basically, so read only is here. There is the partial one, which is also pretty powerful. Partial is really powerful. Yeah, you can go ahead and play with that. But indeed, the TypeScript can make your life either super complicated or really enjoyable. And I prefer the enjoyable part. So tell me, what is click on read only on VS. Yeah, thank Mike. This is Michael. That's really good because you can actually access it directly here. So if you go on read only, you can access. Oh, look at this. Look at this. This is super cool because you have record, exclude, extract, omit, non-nullable. Yeah, there are many of them, right? And fundamentally, if you're able to understand what we just did right here, you're gonna make a leap in TypeScript. Really good, people. So if you have any questions, I can answer them. Maybe we still had a question here, but well, the demo is done. So look, I had more stuff to show. I have more stuff to show, but I think I'm just gonna reorganize a second part, and you will see it on our YouTube. So subscribe on our YouTube channel. You're gonna have a lot of awesome stuff coming your way in the coming days. I'm gonna redo this video to explain a little bit better, like shooting it and making sure that you understand what is happening there. If you the team's gonna send you a survey, and it's interesting for us to actually know how you find this session. Was it too hard for you? Just give us which background you have, so we can also adjust the session by saying like, okay, this is advanced. That's already what we're doing. This is entry level. This is intermediary level. So it's important that you mention that in the yeah. So yeah, okay. Someone say I wanted to leave a feedback on the type from, but the mandatory email field deter me for doing so. Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's something we can fix actually. Yeah, subscribe on our YouTube channel. We really have awesome stuff coming your way in the coming days. So yeah, that was cool. Questions? I take. Oh, thank you. You call JavaScript Vite. I love it. Yeah, I think, yeah, was good. Thanks, Jordan. So I think someone had a question that I didn't answer. Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah, if you're leaving the stream, it's not a big deal. It is not a big deal, but maybe I can show you. No, okay. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna make a video available how you can make this thing writable recursively, so you can go deeper and deeper and deeper. It basically use the thing Victor here wrote. Yeah, so you can use something pretty close to that, and then we say writable, and then yeah, actually I'm already there, so you can make the writable part. My IDE is quite slow, and then you can make this thing writable as well if I'm not writable. Yes, yeah, that's basically the trick here. You can still do that, and that's gonna make sure that you go deeper and deeper, like recursively. Yeah. So okay, thanks, Alex. I'll be annoying if that, but we should then prefer no any. No nostalgia. Okay, you I don't know how to pronounce that, but no, don't use like no. That's the point. You want to make your code safer. You want to make your code easy for your team to understand what is happening right there. So yes, it's important to actually give that. To use it to narrow down the kind of type you want to take from it. Okay, I'm still scrolling just to see if anyone had a question that I didn't miss. Thanks, Chandan. Yeah, so you can still ask question. If people are leaving, that's okay. I'm still around, so feel free to ask your question and I can always jump on the code. Olivier, hopefully that was clear for you. So if you have any question, don't hesitate. Okay, we didn't have. Yeah, okay, great, people. That was great. Okay. Okay, so thanks, Dario. I will see you in Brussels. Yeah. Amsterdam is home. I mean, the Netherlands is home now. Amsterdam, Den Haag, I don't know. It's here. But I'll be in Belgium more often as well. So thanks, Laurent. Yeah, enjoy your lunch. Okay. Yeah, it's important to use strong typing. La nostalgia. That's good. Okay, people. Thanks again for everything, and you rock. All of you, you rock. Yeah. Okay. Dario, I will put you in touch with my team, the team in Brussels, so that we can organize that anytime. Yeah, I don't know if you want to do that live or if you want to do that like when this situation has passed, we can do that right after. So yeah. Thank you, Stephen. That was good. Thanks, Dario. Okay, people. Thanks for joining, and keep going. Keep going. Dario, I will take you. I will send you a message offline so we can get that rolling. Thanks, Guy. Yeah, great people. So yeah, that was Advanced TypeScript number 1, and just if you're in Belgium, you have the JavaScript Lab Belgium meetup group that you should subscribe to. That's where also you can also find things there. If you're in Amsterdam, JavaScript Lab, I mean, in your country or in your city, just go on JavaScript Lab on Meetup. You might find already, we might have been there already and doing some awesome stuff for the community. So yeah, very good. Okay, people. Bye.